Hi.
Hi, everyone. How is it going? Hello. Welcome to Ladies' Night, Women Empowering Women, where we talk to lovely ladies that have done amazing things in our history. And how are you, ladies? How are you, Andrea?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
Very good. What about you, Debbie?
I am good. I am good. It is Monday and getting through stuff and
Mhm.
building a new website.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Wow. That's an undertaking.
it is. It is. So if I look like why is she going squeezing her eyes? It's because I've been staring at the computer trying to figure out why it doesn't do what I want it to do.
Mhm.
But anyways, I'm happy to be here though. This is always wonderful. Wonderful connection with the whole family here. So I'm happy to be here. How are you, Kim?
Me too. I'm doing fine. So far, so good. Can't complain. So, um, so I just wanted to let anybody know that doesn't know, we kind of changed the format a little bit, and we still go to each of our channels, but we rotate, but we have one person or one event that we look at. And then we take questions from people in the chat that they would like to ask, either of a lady we've already talked to, if they want to bring somebody else in, or if they want to ask questions of the person we're chatting with, or talk about the event we're chatting with. We do events as well in history. So let's do this. Now, I have to say, this could be a controversial episode, but I think that, we look at a lot of women who broke barriers, and they, really took on the system and that kind of thing. And I think it's really important to acknowledge the amazing, brilliant women who didn't do that, who kind of worked within the confines, within the barriers that were set, and they kind of did the best they could. And so we're going to talk about one of these ladies today, who is a fantastic actress, and her name, is Hattie McDaniel. She's best known, I guess I should say, for her portrayal of Mammy in Gone with the Wind. But she had a very, very interesting life. And the opening part that I was talking about, we'll get to that in a little bit. But basically, she was born on June 10th, 1893. So a long time ago. And she was an American actress. She was a singer-songwriter and a comedian. And as I said, she's known for her role. Mostly know her from Gone with the Wind. She was the first African-American to win an Academy Award. She won Best Actress for that portrayal. And she also has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was included into the Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame in 1975. And in 2006, she became the first Black Oscar winner honored with a U.S. postage stamp. Oh. In 2010, she was inducted into the Colorado Women's Hall of Fame, right in your backyard.
Wow.
In addition to acting, McDaniel recorded 16 blues records between 1926 and 1929, and was on the radio, performed on television, and she was the first Black woman to sing on the radio in the United States. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
So a lot of firsts. Although she appeared in more than 100 films, she only received credit for 83 of them. And she is best known for, as we said, Gone with the Wind, but also Alice Adams, in This Our Life and Since You Went Away, which is such a good movie. One of her first films was with Shirley Temple in The Little Colonel, and she was also an adult in Since You Went Away, so they worked together again on that film. But she did experience racism, racial segregation throughout her career, and was unable to attend the premiere of Gone with the Wind in Atlanta with the cast. And she, because it was held in Atlanta in an all whites only theater. And at the Oscar ceremony in Los Angeles, she sat in the segregated section table at the side of the room. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but her early life, she had a very interesting upbringing. I think her upbringing really shaped how she saw the world and looked at the world. Both of her parents were slaves. Her father fought in the 122nd Regiment in the Civil War. So he's one of the black soldiers who fought against the South. And they had 13 children in their family. Now, her father was wounded severely in the Civil War, and he never recovered. They didn't say what his injury was, but it was something where he suffered. But because he had to earn a living and work, he literally worked until the day he died. And he worked hard labor under very, very uncomfortable physical circumstances. And so she was very much, she didn't want to do that. She didn't want to work till the day she died and be uncomfortable and have an uncomfortable life. She saw her parents struggle quite a bit. And she was always very creative and was very interested in getting into show business. And so she started performing, and she did a lot of songwriting. And she worked with her brother Otis in a lot of the minstrel shows that were happening at the time. And after her brother's death, she started to perform with I want to say her sisters, but I don't have the piece I'm missing a piece here, but she still performed. And then she really didn't get her big break and that was about 1914. And she didn't get her big break until about 1920. And again, it was in The Little Colonel, the movie with Shirley Temple. Now, she built a career in Hollywood, mostly playing the maid, the mammy, having these kind of tropey kind of roles that were, later on she was criticized for by groups like the NAACP. And she, however, in the Hollywood community, she was extremely loved. She was extremely well respected. Her best friends in the industry included Joan Crawford, Tallulah Bankhead, Betty Davis, Shirley Temple, Henry Ford, Ronald Reagan, Olivia de Havilland, Clark Gable. She was beloved in this community. So later on, when she kind of kept doing these roles, and later on when she was pretty much taken to task by a lot of the civil rights group that were popping up, she never did get very active politically. She never did any of that. And a lot of it, a lot of people feel that the reason that she really just kept working and just kept at it and kept going was because she wanted to have a life that was not going to be like her dad's life, and not going to be, she wanted to do what she loved and live her life doing what she loved. And when they would criticize her, she would say things like, I'm an actress, and these are stories that need to be told as well. And I, I, these are the roles available to me, and I want to play them. And so she was acting in a way in her own interest, but also she was also breaking barriers within the confines of the bigger barriers that were set up at the time. In August 1950, she entered into the hospital with heart failure, and she was released in October to recuperate, and then she had a mild stroke, and she ended up dying of breast cancer on October 26, 1952. There were thousands and thousands of mourners at her funeral. She was beloved in her community, and she wanted to be buried at the Hollywood Cemetery, but at the time, Black people could not be buried at the Hollywood Cemetery, so they buried her at her second choice, which was Rosedale Cemetery. They offered later to have her exhumed and move her, of course, to, as things changed. But her family said no, they'd rather that they didn't do that. So she has a special erected kind of a plaque that's there in her honor. And it is one of Hollywood's most popular burial attractions. It's overlooking a lake, and I guess it's beautiful, but that was erected in her honor. But what do you guys think about this? Because like I said, she's different than the people that we have looked at, over these many episodes, and yet I think that she is absolutely to be admired, and she, in her own way, she was courageous and did what she wanted to do. So what do you guys think, and what do you guys think in the chat as well?
Well, her life path number was a 1, so that makes sense to how you describe her. There are known life path 1s are known to be courageous leaders, and they tend not to get influenced by others. So it makes sense that she forged her own path there, even though she was getting criticism from people in regards to what she was choosing to do. They're very self-dependent, and not only do they not rely on others, they really work hard not to rely on others. So it makes sense that she would want to do that, make the choices she made. Yeah.
When you said, there was controversy and stuff, but she was really loved by a lot of people, my eyes welled up with tears just out of nowhere. I thought I was just going to burst out crying. So I think she's such a wonderful energy. Oh my goodness, she'd be such a great friend. I think the fact that people didn't like her for the reasons, those various reasons, I think that really hurt. And the fact that some people really did love her and knew what she was doing and thought she was great meant a lot to her. I think that's where the tears were coming from, sort of that juxtaposition, and to be maybe criticized by your own people with similar backgrounds was very hurtful to her.
Yeah.
And I think that her father showed her what hard work is, right? He had his issues and still worked every single day. And she did too. She, she obviously would have heard a lot of unpleasant things in her line of work.
Yeah.
And she still did it. And she was a phenomenal actress. I mean,
she was.
Leaps off the screen. Like, everyone knows who she is from Gone with the Wind. It's not like a small role that no one remembers.
Right. Exactly.
So she's such a And I didn't realize she was the first Black woman to sing on American radio.
Isn't that
I
interesting?
didn't even know she had a musical career. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I think that's so wonderful.
I was surprised by that too, but
Yeah.
I thought, well, she really did break, again, within the confines, right? She wasn't breaking those big giant barriers that, we've talked about before, but she was breaking barriers. She was making change.
And that also is a life path one. She's the one that told me to look up her life path number.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
okay.
Oh, how
And life
interesting.
path one, she really describes her very well. Breaking out, taking risks, creating her own path, no matter the obstacles. So interesting. If you guys know tarot, the 1-2, the one card in tarot, not that it's part of the life path number, but it's the Fool card, where you just go. Mm-hmm. You just have faith and you just go for it. And she's also showing me everything was 3 times as hard for her. So if when she showed up to a set, everything was 3 times hard for her. Where she went to the bathroom, where you shift your clothes, where you read, all of it was, everything was a little bit harder. But she would not choose anything. She was doing what she loved to do. It was her passion.
And being placed in a segregated part of the audience at the Oscars is offensive completely. But I could hear her say, "But I won." Right?
Yeah.
So, sure, I'll sit there. I had to sit there, but guess what? I got goosebumps. I
did too. I did too when you said that, Andrea.
So wonderful that I won.
Yeah.
Right. I made, that, and that must have made some kind of history. I don't know if there was she the first African American to win Best Supporting Actress?
An Academy Award, period.
Wow.
She's the first Black woman, first Black person to win an Academy Award.
Wow. And if that isn't a foundation for others coming in front of her, so she should not be criticized for the role she took by whoever wants to criticize her, because look what she did. She kicked open that door.
Paved a way. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm getting that when she's talking about when you were talking, Debbie, about her being, having to just kind of put up with things. She said, I would just shake my head and keep on going.
Yeah.
It was just, she knew it was wrong. She knew it was offensive, but it wasn't going to stop her, I think, is why she's saying that. She would acknowledge it in her own soul, in her own self, but she just kept going. That was her protest, was just to keep going, to not let it stop her. So it's a private protest, I guess you'd say, a personal protest to what was going on. Yeah. She just kept going. Nothing would stop her from, like you said, doing what she absolutely loved and what she was so good at.
She's saying, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Under her breath.
Right. I'm thinking, as soon as you were talking, I'm like, she was playing a much bigger game. So I'm telling you right now, Hattie is very highly evolved. She never expected them to come up any higher, right? Every day she went to work, she would come as an evolved, soul. And she never expected the other people on set to treat her properly, right? She didn't go in with those. She wanted it, of course, but didn't expect it. So they couldn't tear her down because she knew they wouldn't meet her where they should be, right?
Right.
And so she was playing a much bigger game, in the sense she knew what to expect every single day she went there, and it didn't break her. It's somehow that didn't break her because she was in front of it, right? If you went every day hoping they would be different and you would be included, then you'd probably be heartbroken every day. But I think she had a higher understanding that these were 3D people she was dealing with.
I think you're absolutely right about
Yeah.
that, Andrea.
So she had a much bigger view of the situation than the immediate, right?
Right.
Much bigger view. I love her energy.
Yes. Even and the calmness she comes in with, the calmness and the wiseness, her wisdom, the wisdom she comes in with, that's what people, I think, felt and drew from her when she was here, because you can feel those things from her, that her calm, there's something very, yeah, calming about her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was incredibly patient.
And that's her enlightenment, right? Like,
Yeah. But she also is saying, I played, I, I worked alongside the greats. So she knew she was in a world that was extraordinary for at the time. And she's saying too, she went to a lot of people's homes. She's bringing up Clark Gable and saying he was absolutely wonderful to her.
Mm.
So she went to people's homes, and they treated her like their friend. They're just their friend or their best friend. They really were kind and really, to me, it just feels like they treated her like family. So among her peers, she was respected and treated, in such a loving way. It was people judging from the outside. And to me, she said people that would come along, that would brush along the way. It wasn't really like the people she actually really worked with in a close-knit way, they were very good to her. It was the people that were kind of would come through and throw their weight around or whatever. But her actor friends were very kind to her, and she for some reason she brought up Clark Gable and said he was absolutely, I feel like they were best friends. They were very close. She loved him.
I am balanced. So she was able, what we've been saying, that's why she feels very calming. She's very balanced. She could work her way around the situation. Even if it was awful, she would probably just take a time out and be like, okay, don't flip out, even if it's deserved, right? So just,
Right.
she was, again, seeing a much bigger picture, very holistic of her situation and the situation of the time frame she was living in. She must be an old soul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very evolved.
Yeah.
She's showing me the despair around her, like family and friends, that there was just a lot of despair and hopelessness in her community. Not the community where she worked, but her community. And people found their vices to get through. And when you keep getting beaten down, you're trying to get ahead, or not live like her parents. She's focusing in on that, and she's said that she's tried to help her community, and the best she could to help, but also just in the energy that she brought to the situations. But again, she's showing like this. Not everyone was happy for her. That she wasn't living.
That's the hurting part. Yeah. Like,
okay. And so it was like she was a lone wolf on this world. She was alone. She was like, her community didn't, kind of rejected her because she wasn't living in despair like them. And yet, and then she wasn't fully accepted yes, she was loved and like that, but she wasn't fully embraced in the community of Hollywood. Again, pointing to the table to the side, those types of things. It was lonely.
She was a little bit on the outside of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't fit anywhere. However, it did offer her a space to, tap into her spiritual self and remember. She knew that she had some divine strength coming from somewhere, and she relied on that a lot because she was alone. She felt very alone.
She has a tremendous sense of humor, that's for sure.
Yeah, she really does. She's very,
That helps.
like you said, would be a wonderful friend. She'd be your rock. She would be like this solid rock that would be absolutely behind you, but also a lot of fun.
And give a lot of good advice, like just really, like you said, like a good, solid friend.
She did open the doors for Black actresses coming behind her, later. She knew that it was significant what she was doing, the door she was breaking down.
I have a feeling when they were casting and making Gone with the Wind, I wonder if they didn't know or didn't expect that role to be so big and instrumental, because I bet she brought that in when she came to audition and shot the film. That could have been a very small, almost insignificant role. Could have been. But it was, it's one of the pillars of the movie is her and the relationship that she has with Scarlett O'Hara and the family, and what we see life, what some things through her eyes, right? And I think she just really brought a huge amount to that role that maybe was not expected. And she completely deserved that Oscar. I don't think anyone at that award ceremony thought any different.
Right. Absolutely. I feel like as you're talking about that, I do feel like she was surprised. But she's like, I knew this was a big deal. Like, this movie was a big deal. She knew that. But you're right. She didn't know how much her life would change after that role. So it was a surprise. So go ahead, Debbie.
Melody's asking, does she want to return here? And I feel like she did return, and I feel like she's still here, and I feel like she would be around our age.
Really?
Getting a yes.
That seems very specific, but she told me the number 1964, and that's the year I was born. So but I also felt like she was still here. And so let's find out a little bit more about her this time around.
Yeah.
Like, she's a female.
Got that.
Yeah. I don't think she's anyone famous, or at least not famous to me. Like, I maybe don't know who it would be. Ooh. Healthcare, nursing, something like that.
I feel like she's white, actually. I'm not feeling like she's African American, to be honest. I feel like she's white, and I feel like you're right, Andrea. I feel like it's something in something like that.
Something like that in that arena. Yeah. Healthcare. She's a champion in that area. She's progressive in that area. Because I also see her writing, so I'm wondering if she does research or something with the writing and championing healthcare. for she's not Bernie.
But like writing legislature or something like that. I don't know the right terminology.
I don't either, but I feel like she's trying to she's championing healthcare, better healthcare for everybody, and she wants to make sure we know it's not Bernie Sanders. He's too old.
And male. He's too male as well.
Too male.
Male.
She's not going to give her name.
I was going to say I'm not getting a lot on who she.
Marion says, "Can we ask her name?" All I got so far is that her first initial is S. Could be anything.
I'm also getting she has some kind of teaching role. So I don't know if she taught some nursing or taught something almost professory, but I don't think she's a professor, but some kind of like teaching of about healthcare and nursing and what is it? Home healthcare, something like that. But I feel like she's taught in that field. And I think you're right, Debbie. I think she is kind of an advocate and a
advocate. That's
does some writing for it.
That's the word, advocate.
Linda says, "Is she American?" I'm getting she's Canadian.
Oh,
holla!
Oh, lucky.
She's mine.
Canada. We need her here.
I'm getting born Canadian and still in Canada. But she does. It's quite high level. See, she should be famous for what she's doing, but we only make movie stars famous, right? So she's working on something on an international level. So this is whether it's North America or around the world, she's doing something quite important.
You know what I'm hearing here is in regards to, you let's say you have the cure to the common cold, but the only people who can get the cure to the common cold are those who are billionaires. She's trying to, and I'm making this scenario up, but you understand, it's just this context of what she's trying to do. She's trying to make it so you don't have to be a billionaire to get the cure to common cold. Everybody gets that same cure, across the board, balanced. So I don't know much about this, but listening to her, it sounds like there's some kind of there are certain types of medical advances that people who just have the regular insurance, we never would even know about because it's not offered to us.
So that almost sounds like it's international, what she's working on.
That would be a little
I'm getting, that's what I'm feeling. It's much bigger. It's not localized. It's much bigger. And I think her first name is Sharon.
Oh. Let's try looking it up.
Go
so
Sharon.
Sharon, and you're Canadian. We're gonna come find
Sharon.
you.
I don't know why this is coming up, but she's saying in this life she's a survivor of domestic violence.
Oh dear.
And to me it feels like it was early in her life. So I feel like it was an early life experience that kind of propelled her in the direction she went.
Yes.
Much like that life, and as Hattie, it propelled her forward to kind of have her, the way she looked at work and the kind of life she wanted to have and didn't want to have. It was formed pretty early.
This is healthcare for everyone. It's not specialized for children or women or whatever. It's
basically a certain section, a certain like where it's available, but not to everyone. Only if you
have the money.
Yeah, something about that. And again, I don't have context here, but the energy is around that whole issue. Like I don't know about you, Andrea, in Canada, but here, if we go to get a mammogram, you get under the insurance, you get the I call it the smash and grab. That's it. Now, if you in most insurances, now if you pay more for your insurance or whatever, and you get a little extra coverage, you may get the sonogram covered. But if not, then you're paying out of pocket for these things. And then, if you need more, like an MRI or any other type of diagnostic, it's not just covered. So that's the kind of scenario I'm talking about. So
well, it would make sense then if she's Canadian, because that's free here, right?
Right.
It's all free there, right? But
that would make her want to have everyone have free access to.
Right.
It's true.
Right.
So when you go to get a mammogram, since it's ladies' night, it's all covered. If you need to have a sonogram done, it would be covered. It wouldn't just be the smash and grab.
I assume I've never had the sonogram, but the smash and grab is completely covered, and I've never heard about anyone paying for.
Okay, yeah, because the smash and grab is covered here too. No one ever has to pay for that. But anything above and beyond that, which most people need, and it's ridiculous that they're just doing the smash and grab because they miss a lot. But anyway, don't get me started. Sharon or whoever your name is.
Melody. Sharon.
Get it done. Too many people are dying because only they don't allow us to have all that's offered out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's
why do you have this time healthy, right? That doesn't sound right.
Sue calls it slamogram. Yeah.
So Paisley would like to know, was there something she saw or knows that would help us today with those in both communities? I think in African American community and in other, communities.
Truth. Just being aware and knowing truth.
Don't let them bring you down. It's kind of like how don't expect them to behave. I suppose she's referring to white people. Don't expect them to behave in a way that you want them to. It will come in time. I certainly hope so, but don't already be angry. Or don't, I'm trying to understand that that's how they're behaving because they're a 3D person, like they haven't evolved enough, and you don't have to go down there, right? Stay up, stay high, stay positive. Boy, all I hear is the word frustration. Very frustrating for, obviously for the African American community, but try not to, or work through the frustration.
I'm getting that we have to talk about our past. We cannot bury the past. Because she's even talking about how, and I think because she's in some of them, I think she's talking about how even Hollywood's trying to stop us from seeing, getting rid of, movie that now that would be considered, racist or whatever. Erasing it is not the right approach. I feel like she's educating understanding, seeing the bridge, how we've come from here to here, and how we did that. It's like it's all so, everything needs to be out in the open. I think when you said truth, Debbie, I think that's what she's talking about, is everything needs to be talked about and out in the open. We can't just bury it because we're not proud of it. It's something that happened, so you can't just pretend like it didn't. So it feels like, talk about it, have conversations about it. Try to understand it. Then it won't happen again. Then it will be done with. It will be over. But because we keep trying to shove it under the rug, it keeps coming back up. It keeps coming back up. These things with race that we're even dealing with now. It's like, deal with it. Stop doing that.
I want to interview these
frustration. I feel that frustration from her with that. Yeah.
I want to interview these racists and be like, why are you like this?
I know.
Like, what? We've got to get in. We can't ignore it. We got to get in there and figure out why they're like that and then change it.
Yeah. So she's saying how wonderful the opportunity you have today with social media and all these platforms telling the stories that we've never heard before, that were in history. We were told a certain history going to school about many things, including Black history, and which most were write out lies or just smoothed over or whatever. But she said it's so wonderful now. She's saying she's seeing so many of these stories coming forth on. It's available on social media. People on like TikTok telling stories of people in Black history, and this is Black History Month. It's all over, you guys. You want to learn some new stuff, and I know if you don't like TikTok, whatever, there's some beautiful, beautiful stories coming through that that people are posting, and it's stories. It's like, well, it's so great to know that person was in history and what happened, and the true story. And there's some really obviously sad ones that we need to know, but there's also some really powerful ones of thriving and surviving some of the things. Anyways, it's a beautiful thing. She said she had a little bit of a leg up in understanding in understanding humanity, basically, because she had one foot in this community and one foot in this community, and so she had what she called a leg up in understanding the dynamics and of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So, but let's get that leg up.
Yeah,
with her. So she knew the stories of her community. She lived them. She saw them. It was devastating. And she says, talk about horrible medical care. And then she also knew the stories and heard the stories of this world where she worked and of the white people. And so she said it gave her a leg up. So she said, get your leg up. Hear the stories, learn the stories, historical and today.
Yeah.
It is exciting because, whatever we were taught in school was whatever, but we can now learn on our own. Like you're saying, with the internet, social media, we can go and investigate stories that we didn't know, just like we're doing on this show. We are talking about women that none of us have heard of before, some of them, or their history. Like we're learning more about Hattie tonight. We have the opportunity to go and learn.
Right.
Yeah. And
in ways that weren't available before.
I like what Karen says. She says people are racist because they were raised that way. Yet we weren't born racist.
No. And you can see, little videos where kids are in playgrounds or whatever together, and it doesn't matter what the race is. They're friends, they're hanging out, they're sharing their toys, they're playing just as humans.
little humans.
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking for, do I see questions here?
You might be right, Carolyn. She said, is it Sharon Schulzberg Gray, lawyer and health policy advocate in Ottawa,
Ooh.
Ontario? And I'm getting a
Oh my gosh.
Sharon, is her name Sharon Schulzberg Gray? You go, Sharon. Wow. And that just got me really excited. Just think about this. When you come back next time, everyone. When you come back next time, you get to think about what you want to be and who you want to be. And maybe that's part of our lesson this time. You hear that?
That's an airplane.
Like,
what is happening?
You know, you get to pick what you're going to do next time. So give it some thought this lifetime and let's see, you know, what would be, I suppose we can see the world when we're up there looking down later, but I don't know. That's kind of exciting to think about what you'll be next time. And what we learn in this life will inform us what to be in the next life. I just got really jazzed about that. That's like a whole existential deep dive to take.
Yeah.
Well, and it is, and it's like two very different lives that she's having, but at the same time, you know, the point is to learn from all sides and to understand, you know, things from different sides. And yeah, definitely. And yet
I think the life we're looking at, you know, as Hattie, I think she saw a lot where she could only help so much, and she felt like she was lacking the ability to really assist and make a difference. But she found her way to try to make a difference as much as possible on screen. However, in the reality out here, I think she saw a lot. I think that kind of, you know, assisted her in what she chose to do next. She wanted to make a difference within humanity in a different way. She knew that she made that difference and opened those doors, but she really wanted to affect change in a different way on the ground, so to speak.
But still with that big open heart, you know, because who you are at your core, that's who you are. That's who you are. You're that in every life. You have that core of who you are. That's what's going on.
Yep.
And someone's asking, you know, how it is that we're talking to her and yet she's here. And so
it's a great
I can only say my own understanding is that we have a higher soul that's always reachable. That's always reachable. She could reach it too if she wants to. If she wants to do, you know, like what Dave Johnson does, the quantum healing. You know, you can go back and find out all of these things. And if she did that, she would be talking to the same soul we're talking to. But what we're reaching into is this one life that this
soul,
that this higher soul has had. And so she's coming in to us as that person because that's who we're asking about. Mm-hmm. And so she's coming in as that and talking about that life with us.
About that experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Great question.
Exactly. Our higher self. Yeah, you could say that kind of, they're available to us. And it's weird because some of this stuff is beyond language. Mm-hmm. Right? We only have a limited way to explain all of this stuff, and some of it is beyond language, but it's in a dimension that's reachable. We just have to kind of put in the effort to reach it, just like we do here. We're reaching into something that's we can't see it, but we're reaching it through just concentration, basically a type of concentration that you learn. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. Same thing. And if Sharon, I can't remember her last name already, but Sharon, if she wanted to do this and find out, oh, this is who I was.
That'd be interesting.
That's crazy. But that's who I was. She could do it. It's available to her.
Yeah, the human body is a vessel that the soul experiences life in, and her soul was at one point Hattie, and now it's what we think is Sharon.
Right.
So, and you were other things before, and you will be other things in the future, and your soul retains all that information, right? And what we have to try to do in our human life is get our human to acknowledge our soul. A lot of people just walk around never thinking about it, right? But this like-minded group here, we're trying to connect with our souls so we can open up all that information from our past life, learn things a lot faster.
Yeah, exactly. If you get all the context, and you get to, and it helps you make sense of things, because things can be confusing here. But even if you have, when you have past lives, it's great to know, and it can inform you of now, but this life is primary. That's number one, because you're here, you're doing something important you really wanted to get done. Right. So whatever's happening in your life now, that's primary, but it really can help to have the context of those other lives and what you've done and where you've been. And it's very, so interesting, just fascinating. And we've all done it. Yeah. And here we are back again. Still working on it.
I'm hoping I get to just be a guide on the other side. I'm good with I'll be the person that guides. You have the experience, you guys. I'll stay on the other side.
You could take a break, have a little vacation up there.
It's so funny, because I think we get there and we forget what it was like here, and we're like, yeah, let's do this again. I really want to do this, and I want to shift this, and I want to.
Absolutely. I think that, I've actually had messages like that where it's like we kind of are all talk there, because it seems so short. When we go back, it seems like we were just here for just this tiny bit. But when you're here, it feels like forever. So, and I think you just forget. It's such a dense, different, and so concentrated of an experience. Everything's so slow. Everything manifests slowly. It's just different, and I think we forget. It's not our natural place that we normally are.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. But when you're here, it's like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
Well, I think, I think this community, we've all come back at this time. I think we're launching something, right? We're here to change the vibe or something.
Yeah, we're ushering. We're ushers.
And we chose to come down as a team. Yeah. Go team. Right?
That's right. That's exactly right. So Jean says, what I learned this week was we need to follow the heart. The heart is open to our higher self and to connect with our passions with others, brain versus heart. That's right. That's right. Our brain's a tool, but our heart really does know the way. It really is a tool. Yeah, it is. It's a tool. It's a tool we have to use in this density. But
that kind of tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Learn the language of your heart.
Love it. Love it. What a beautiful sentence. And I think that was Hattie. She knew the language of her heart. Like, we can tell she was very evolved. And she feels real nice. Her energy is real beautiful. And you know what? She won that Oscar.
Right?
She won that Oscar.
Oh, I mean.
And you cannot take it from her. She made history, and she did it her way.
Yeah.
She didn't have to listen to everybody else. She did it her way. And don't minimalize what she did. Her parents were slaves, for heaven's sakes.
Yes.
How dare you say anything to her?
Yeah.
She won an Oscar and her parents were slaves and her father worked till the day he died.
Yes, exactly.
So don't tell her what she did, don't criticize what she did.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Well, thank you, Hattie McDaniel. Thank you, everybody, for talking about this amazing lady. I love her.
Yeah. Great
She's
choice.
fascinating. And so where do we land next week? Where are we next week?
We'll be on my channel next Monday.
Lilac
at
Lantern.
7 p.m. Eastern.
Amazing. All right. Well, good. Well, everybody have a great week. I hope you guys, this gave you a lift and a just some things to think about and be grateful for. And we will see you next week then.
Bye. Thank you.